Welcome everybody to the podcast series with the students, and I got two special students here today with us. Okay, and we're going to discuss a very fascinating topic of emotional intelligence. Okay, so Mr. Nghĩa, can you start by telling me what you think about emotional intelligence?
Okay, I think whenever I heard the term of emotional intelligence, so usually I think like that is some kind of person who are pretty smart of using their emotion in their daily life. I mean like I still remember a long time ago when I first heard that kind of term, I used to think that is like that's just me. But it turned out I was totally wrong because I think that I am pretty smart of using my emotion. But I mean, like, I am just emotional. I'm not emotional intelligence, you know? I am just the kind of the person who are so strong with my emotion, but I don't know how to control it. So after I got that misconception, I realized like I'm just the emotion guy. I'm not emotional intelligence guy. So I think usually people talking about that kind of term, people will stop at emotional, but they usually forget like emotional intelligence is totally different. So I think emotional intelligence is someone who are emotion, but they know how to control their emotional. I'm sorry, who are emotional, but they know how to control their emotion.
That's the point. That's the point. I think that somehow being emotional intelligent is to be able to detect your emotions. And I think somehow it's going to be great. Maybe we are not able to change it or to curb our emotions at that time, especially our negative ones. Yeah, but somehow we are able to realize, to detect and perceive them. So I think that's the first step already. And Mr. He, may I know a little bit about the experience that you've been through with the emotional intelligence when you normally socialize with others? So how can you normally perceive their emotions?
I normally perceive a person's emotions by looking at their behavior, what their expression is, and what their hands do. People who are nervous tend to fidget when they are shy or embarrassed to talk to a person. So I've seen that a lot in people, in myself as well. So I can get it when people say that they are shy or they have anxiety. So yeah.
So that's the way that you can perceive their emotions. But when you already perceive their emotions, what is your common approach? Yeah, to talk to them. For example, with the shy individuals.
I would try to be gentle. I would try to speak in not my normal voice, but in a more soothing voice.
Soothing voice, like healing ones. Okay, yeah.
So I would try to speak to them about topics that are hard or very sensitive. I would try to ask them about their day often or encourage them more while speaking to them.
Interesting. There's a saying goes, talking to a person who has high emotional intelligence is a kind of healing. Do you agree with that?
It is.
It
It
is. How
is.
come?
Well, take therapists. They are people with high intelligence, high emotional intelligence, and they seem to be doing pretty good in healing people. So, yeah, people who are more emotionally intelligent tend to recognize what is inside a person, what is hurting from the inside more.
Wow, thanks for the information. That's pretty interesting. And Mr. Nghĩa, as you mentioned earlier, and I believe that many people out there, we don't have the high emotional intelligence. Yeah, when we were born, we are not gifted with that, right? So somehow, in your opinion, what steps could we take to improve that, to enhance our emotional intelligence? Do you think that is trainable?
I just got a feeling that you hate me or something because you keep giving me the big questions for this kind of talk. But still, I mean, I'm still appreciate that because I mean, you give me a lot
I
of
just go with the
challenges.
flow, yeah, because you have more experience in life, though.
Okay, let me see. I think like the fundamental step, the fundamental
Fundamental,
part
yeah.
of intelligence, I mean like emotional intelligence is like understanding yourself. and understanding who you are. So I mean, like, I am not a scientist. I'm not a therapist or psychologist or something. So I don't know how to call them in the science way. But I mean, like, the first step you must do to improve your emotional intelligence, that is try to understand yourself and try to accept yourself. Like some people, they are like, I think most of the time people, they don't understand the emotion because they try to deny the emotion. So I mean, like when they're angry, but they don't realize they're angry because they don't want to accept that they are angry. So I think the first time you need to know that you have that kind of emotion by being honest with yourself first. And I think that is the very first step if you want to improve your emotional intelligence. And also, like, I'm not quite sure what are the next steps, but for me, the fundamental thing, the foundation is try to accept yourself and try not to deny what are you feeling at that moment. So I think that is very, like, really essential if you want to improve your emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And Mr. He, thank you so much for the idea. I think that is the first and the most important step already. Yeah, to be able to talk to yourself, reflect on your emotions at the end of the day, and somehow to name your emotions. Yeah, the most important part is to name your emotions, like, and then to realize the cause of the emotions and why you felt that way.
I mean, like, according to what you just asked us, I would like to ask you guys a question. So have you ever been in a situation that you don't feel like comfortable to express what you are feeling inside out? For example, like you're angry, but if you, I mean, like, if you express it out, people will judge you because you're crazy. They don't appreciate your anger. So at that moment, I would call that the sticky situation, that you couldn't align your behavior with your emotion just because something else outside or some judgment or some external factors that you couldn't align, you couldn't make yourself aligned. So have you ever been in those situations I just named it?
Yes, I have. I have been through quite a lot of it, really. So in the past, most of the time, I would just I guess numb myself, turn my brain off, zone out, as you would say it. So in the past, that was the only way for me to avoid conflict with anyone. But now, I still zone out sometimes, but I try expressing my emotions more, but in a gentler way. I still try to improve myself every day, even though my past trauma still haunts me a bit.
Yeah, can you give me like a very specific example that you've been through? It's been like when you talk to your mom and the family members, especially at that time, talking to family members. I do believe that that's the time that I couldn't curb my anger, and normally, eventually, it comes out in anger. Yeah, and I somehow shout at them, and I don't really want to do that. I don't like the picture of me doing that.
So I've dealt with a family problem before. It was about me and my aunt. So we had an argument about whether or not I should help her in her business or not. Uh, as you know, I'm not very fond of doing business. I'm not a businessman. So when she and I argued, there were a lot of hurtful things that were exchanged. She was being hypocritical and I was being rude. So the final thing before we end up the conversation between us was that I tried to say that I'm sorry to her, and then she raged out at me like, "Why are you sorry? You haven't been sorry before, so why are you sorry now?" So at that moment, I just didn't have anything to say to her because if she cannot find forgiveness, then what's there talking to her more?
To be honest, I think like Mr. Nghĩa and I, we are much older than you, but somehow talking to you, yeah, makes us feel so proud. Because like, it's not easy for a man to say sorry, to apologize to somebody. It requires a lot of bravery, gut. You need to have the gut to do that, right? Yeah, and then you put others first. Yeah, so that you can approach them and say sorry. Okay, so let's wrap up our podcast today. I think it's the first one, and somehow I really enjoy this conversation, and I hope that everybody will see this conversation as enlightening as I did. Okay, and thank you so much for your participation. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what to say, but thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode.